Ayo, ayo, ayo. How is everybody doing? Danny here for another episode of Quarter Variant at a Time. What is up, everybody? How are y'all doing? I am excited to be here. A little less eventful week than the last. Last week we got to go to two comic conventions and everything like that. So this week was more of just the week that was comics. I did get a chance to go to the movies and see Turtles, which I thought was really cool. Dang, I was supposed to bring the popcorn bucket in here. I got a cool all that stuff that you saw in the picture. If you've seen the thumbnail, that stuff was all cool stuff that we were able to get at the movies. But anyways, with no further ado, I want to bring on my co-host, the one, the only Roy. Roy's coming up in here. What up, Roy?
Imperious Rex.
How it is, brother? How are you doing, dude?
Everything's doing good. It's been maybe an uneventful week as far as comic books, but family-wise, it's popping over here. I've got my toddler, so my presence here in the structure is a little bit in the air, but we're gonna see what happens. We're jumping through hurdles because we love being here with the live people, the live viewers, make it worthwhile. So we're gonna pull through and see what happens.
For sure, dude. For sure. It was an interesting week in comics. Definitely like slower-ish on the releases and everything like that, but like
it's the back end of that weird double FOC from the 4th or whatever, right?
Yep. So it's that. It's the first Wednesday of a like first Wednesday type of situation.
Gotcha.
So or of a fifth Wednesday situation. So like they're probably also like leaning things out a little bit.
That does make more sense.
So yeah, absolutely, dude.
I don't believe in linear time, so that's all beyond me.
The linear timeline.
I don't believe it's a myth.
Let me make sure that this is shareable for a second here, because it looks like it's on private. Public to everybody.
To everyone.
Copy link, edit audience, edit live. Let's see. Is it like this? It's funny because like since it multicasts now, it's like I don't really always know what's going on. But yeah, we are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. If you're following us on YouTube, that's the coolest one because you can also leave us a. You were able to share it, Roy?
Yes, sir.
Cool. So, if you leave us a like, anything like that on YouTube, and if you subscribe, that is always what's going to be awesome. Speaking of YouTube, the first thing I wanted to do was share some big news, and I wanted to do that via sharing a video, screen sharing a video. So give me 1 second. We will do that here in a sec. Present screen sharing, and I want to do the YouTube window, which disappeared. Oh, Chrome tab. YouTube. All right.
It's an educational experience. Oh, what we got here?
It is. And I'm going to put both of us backstage, all right? I'm going to put both of us backstage.
Big news. I love it. Backstage.
What's new? What's been going on with you this summer?
Man, I think the major factor and the major reason in my decision was the best opportunity to win and to win now and to win into the future also.
Would you like to sleep on it a little longer? Or are you ready to make this decision?
No, I've slept enough, or the lack of sleep.
The answer to the question everybody wants to know. LeBron, what's your decision?
So this summer, oh man, this is very tough, but I'm going to take my talents down to Maitland and join Blackbird Comics and Coffee House.
Blackbird. That's the timeline you've decided on?
That's the timeline I've chosen.
But it's going to be a lot of emotions, not understanding why. And then you're going to have the real friends that love me for who I am.
Do you have any doubts about your decision?
No, I don't have any doubts at all.
So yeah, if you didn't see right away from the video, and if you haven't been following me on social media, starting next Saturday or this Saturday, the 12th, I will be working at Blackbird Comics and Coffee House, which is in Maitland, Florida, right off Horatio Ave in Maitland, next to Maitland City Center. I'm pretty excited about that. Funny enough, I jump on board really 1 week before the 5-year anniversary. So I'm pretty excited about that. I just recently shared out on Facebook the information for the 5-year anniversary. That is the following Saturday on August, or sorry, not the following Saturday, 2 Saturdays from then, August 26th. So yeah, I think that is going to be a fun event. I will readily admit I have not been around for one of their anniversary events, but like they've done everything. They do everything so right, and
We got a good taste of that at the Microcon.
yeah, the Microcon, and we ended up taking. Well, me and Lauren have been there for 2 what I'd call like side events, I guess, right? One was the oat milk coffee challenge, where like
Yeah.
we did like 11 different oat milk drinks.
That would have been rad. I definitely would have been into that.
Dude, it was crazy. That was actually a really amazing like event, like micro event, if you will. And then we took the little one to the kids book club, I think is they call it, or young adult book club or whatever. And it was bumping. There was like 8 kids, maybe 10 kids,
That's
and then the
exciting.
rest of the people just chilling there, like having coffee.
Right.
Apparently, they recently had an influencer go over there and order something and like do some influencer style video,
Oh.
and so that led to other influencers like going,
Sure.
and yeah, so like it's cool. It's a cool vibe. Everybody I've met there is awesome. All the baristas are super cool. I don't know all their names yet because there's like so many of them. But like Aaron and Carly, who handle the comics with Dave
Yeah.
and Candace, are awesome. So yeah, that will be where we are, where I am starting the 12th.
Yeah, just like any time before, while I won't actually be employed, you'll likely find me wherever Danny is.
And like, it's funny, Trey Walker, good friend, like we both know him, Seasons Change, I just recently talked about on I think our first show. He like works out of that place.
Yeah,
apparently.
man,
Like,
he's
he's
there
got
every
his
single time.
laptop. It's where he writes his comics, what
Yeah.
I'm saying? It's like I thought that was really cool because it's like a local published comic creator who like literally like works out of the shop.
Oh,
That is
like
super cool.
you want to talk about works out of there? Like I love it because like every time I've ever talked to him, extremely personable guy, always shaking hands. Hey, what's up? Da 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 da. Last time when we saw him, he was already sitting down, headphones on, into the writing, and it was like, "Hey, man, how's it going?" And he's like, "Hey," and then it was like, "Ah." So you want to talk about working? Like that's working. You know what I mean? Like he's really in the middle of his creative process, and that's amazing. You know what I mean? To get to get to observe it anyways, interrupting is always probably not his favorite part, but he was in the mode. It was great.
And it's funny because first of all, when I go in there, so his last published book was Last Stop by published by Scout Comics. Came out during the pandemic, unfortunately, so it got thrown under the radar a little bit. But it's one of Trey's best works, and Trey and Hoyt, because they're pretty much a team, and there was one copy left at Blackbird, and I noticed it wasn't there when I was there the other day, and then Dave and Trey are talking about Hoyt coming down in September for the release of Mongrel and all this stuff. And that's to be announced later, but they were like, yeah, and then somebody literally just walked up to him and got it signed. Something signed today. We're like, we sold it to him. We're like, the writer's right there. So like,
right there,
you don't get that. Forget about like everywhere. You don't get that like anywhere. So,
no. The guy, and it's not because it's not like a signing. Guy's just on site because he digs the vibe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Great guy, man.
Yeah. So, all right. Enough about me. I did go see the new TMNT movie, Mutant Mayhem. I think it's produced by Seth Rogen. A lot of cool stuff going on with that. Nicole, hey, how are you doing?
What's up, Nicole?
So produced by Seth Rogen. You could tell it has a lot of heart. I know a lot of people were upset about the April O'Neil thing, and honestly, it's such a non-issue in the movie. Like it's a non-issue. It's a non-issue in any Turtles mythos. You know what I'm saying? Anyways. But the movie was great, like for me. So like I was technically not born when the first live action Ninja Turtles movie came out, right? But I've seen it just as many times as I've probably seen Back to the Future, which are
I
like my
skipped
all-time
5th grade.
favorite. Yeah, so
Yeah.
like I wasn't
Skipped
born,
class in 5th grade to go see that.
dude. I loved it. I loved it as a kid, and obviously that first one is much more darker than like that cartoon that eventually came out in the 90s. You know, the first one's a little closer to the original Eastman Laird, like a little.
Yeah.
And I still loved it as a 5, 6, 7 year old. Obviously I also love the third one, which everybody says is cheese fest, but like
Yeah.
I love Casey Jones teaching the samurais hockey. Like, you know, like that is to
Yeah.
me one of the funniest
I
things
get
in
it.
Turtles. But this one was good, dude. It's definitely a little even more kid oriented than that third like Turtles one.
I would
And
assume they tried to broaden that net for this.
but like I thought it was great, dude. I thought their personalities were cool. Like it doesn't get too over the top. Like Raph isn't too like
Too
I need to
Raph?
fight everybody. Yeah, he's not.
Yeah.
I need to fight everybody. Like you know,
Sometimes you can get a little too Raph.
so he doesn't get too Raph. And Mikey is like never too Mikey. Mikey and Mondo Gecko are hilarious though because like
Sure.
they meet at a point and that's funny.
That does sound good.
But there's literally like I don't want to spoil it, but there's like cameos from everybody, and there are definitely like not cameos from people you'd also hope to see. But like you
Sure.
do see a lot of people. Like you are pretty. It is pretty like awesome. I gave it. You know, again, I'm not the demographic for it. So like if I had to give it a stars rating or something, I'd be like 4 out of 5 or something. But it's like I'm
4
not
out of
the
5
demographic.
slices of pizza.
Yeah. But I had fun. I always put
Good.
it on if I had fun or not. And like there's definitely been a couple of movies where I was like, I did not have fun at that.
Sure.
And this isn't one of them. So like you know, I'll give it a two thumbs up because I feel like that's the most tertiary thing. Those guys made it through like a whole decade just being like 2 thumbs up, 2 thumbs down.
They did. They
They
did.
were
It was
like-
more than a decade, I believe. Like
Yeah.
somehow, like, and their opinion really mattered, and it's
Yeah.
fascinating. Even though they were so divisive, because like half the people, like, I mean, what a great gimmick. Like half the people go see the movie because you said it was great, and the other half go and see it just to prove that you don't know what you're talking about. Like it's the best hype man ever. You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah,
incredible,
well, that
right?
is
Like,
true.
you
That was true. But
win no matter what.
before I go off on too much of a tangent, do you remember the show The Critic?
Yeah, a little bit.
So
I
like
didn't watch that much of it. I remember it.
I always thought that was a hilarious like take on it all because I did feel like more often than not they hated everything. Like which is actually funny enough par for the course for what the internet believes. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's fair.
So, all right, Roy, we're going to move on to the next segment, which I think is fun. This is only our third show, but I think it's a perfect time to just go ahead and be like, these are what we believe the top 10 comics.
Yeah, you just listen to our opinions. They matter.
Yeah, we're our opinions. We're nobodies.
Yeah.
We don't read everything. Like, you
No,
know,
I
like
try
there's absolutely some trail somewhere that we probably didn't touch.
Sure.
But like, yeah, we're just gonna kind of go through what in the month of July. The only real rule is it had to kind of come out in July.
I'll try.
And yeah, let's go through it. I'm pretty excited about it. Roy, for your fifth one, we have Blade. The Blade relaunch that happened at the beginning of the month.
Yes. I know that like the lighting's all weird in here, and
Dude, everybody can tell that's a John
trying to
Tyler
make it better though. That was like there were 2 constructive criticisms I received about our show. Maybe this will be a third one, but the being able to see the covers is one. But yeah, so that's that Christopher Negative Space. It's an amazing cover. I picked it. Casagrande does the interiors. They're absolutely beautiful. It's like action packed. Panel layout is fantastic. The writing isn't really all that phenomenal, but it's like I feel like it's Blade. So as long as you don't screw it up, you've got something good on your hands. Sure. I mean, because as far as I know, Robert, like his origin hasn't really been expanded on all that much. You know, watch Blade, watch the movies, man, and then jump right in. there's not much to know. That's kind of the point about what I'm saying on the story, and why, even though it's on my list of 5, it's kind of on the bottom, is the story seems, and also it's a setting up point, you know what I mean? So you can't expect everything. He's sad because I'm giving all my attention to you. It doesn't seem like the story is really the vehicle. It's all the art in there is phenomenal.
And the fact that Blade's back, right? It's like, oh, Blade's back. Like, people
but I mean, you got to see, it wasn't that long ago that they did that one shot where he was dealing with the Vampire Nation, which, you know, is they bought the radioactive wasteland from Chernobyl from the Russians and set it up as their Midnight Empire. And I thought that was pretty rad because they don't have to worry about the radiation and stuff. So that was cool. And then you could have followed along with the Bloodline Daughter of Blade and seen some of what's going on there. But I feel like I can tell you that I have not, other than that one shot, I haven't picked up a Blade comic forever in a day. And it's comfortable. There's nothing that you don't need to know. And unfortunately, it's going to tie into some more stuff that I'm going to talk about later. But that's my number 5.
All right. So my number 5 is actually something Lauren read, and she spoke very highly of. I think you grabbed it 2 weeks ago. Is Alice Never After, which is a new number 1, came out 2 weeks ago, so last week of July. The thing is, Alice Never After, while like a very cool sequel, it's absolutely a sequel to not just Alice in Wonderland, but Alice Ever After. So they do not go into exposition, which actually is nice. They don't go into exposition in this at all about the characters, about anything like that. So Travis said, fun fact, Blade only has 29 comics total in his legacy numbers. Total. But Alice Never After,
fun fact,
picks up after the events of Alice Ever After, and Alice Ever After is pretty much bringing Alice back to the modern day, and it's been explored a little bit, like we talked about last time on the show, on like Once Upon a Time and stuff like that. But it brings Alice to the modern day, where she's starting to have these memories of her time in Wonderland, and obviously every human being on the planet is telling her that she's hallucinating, or it might be late hallucinations from like LSD and stuff like that, because she's been crazy, you know, teenager. So it's like really cool. But this is definitely a direct sequel. So pick up Alice Ever After if you haven't, and then you jump into Alice Never After. Beautiful covers for number 1. Jenny Frieson. There was a Sean Gordon Murphy, which I know is one of Travis's favorites. Sean Gordon Murphy did the cover. So the FOC show. Nick, there's gonna be we go through segments. I've learned how to do this little bottom thing, and I'm not gonna pretend the branding on it is great, but I have segments. So we do what me and Roy bought over New Comic Book Day, and then we do FOC. But since it's the beginning of a new month, we figured we'd do the best books of last month. So Alice Never After, my number 5. Lauren voted real hard for it. She just wanted to make sure everybody knew you got to read the first one. You cannot jump in. So I will jump to my number 4 next, which is actually Seasons Change by the aforementioned Trey Walker. I read that right before our first show, and I couldn't shut up about it. And I told Roy about it and everything. And then funny enough, I was talking to Trey about it, because I was like, Trey, you are one messed up individual for writing this comic and messing with my emotions like this. And he's like, dude, it was for a short story contest on like Webtoons or something like that. And the parameters were like the story had the beginning, middle, and end. No setup for like no sequel. Like it was a short story contest. And dude, it was amazing. It was a mind F, as they say, you know, as Jimmy Fox would say. And
right.
I had to put it. It's not a published book yet. You know, I'm sure he's always working on deals. He's got another published book coming up lately. But I know Blackbird has copies of it. I know Trey has copies of it. Reach out to him. I forget the name of their studio. Oh my God. I will remember it before the end of the show. But Trey's got the studio that they go send everything to. But Trey Walker from Scout Comics and now Devil's Due. Seasons Change I thought was phenomenal. That's my number 4. I literally had to throw it in there as my second independent of my top 5, as you'll see. But Roy, your number 4 is he mad?
No, he's not mad. He's not mad. He's excited.
So, Batman Beyond Neo Gotham's what we got for your number 4. You talked about that last week, but you were high on this Batman book.
I am, and I still am. Like, this is great. this was really good writing. Like, I don't know why Peter Parker as Batman works so well, but like that's kind of like the vibe I get from Terry at this point is like, what if Peter Parker was Batman? And it's rad. I love it. The art inside is phenomenal. And like I talked about last week, it was a complete surprise for me. You know what I mean? Because I kind of thought that they were just going to hit you with the okie doke with the Ikijuri cover. And then it's going to be a Tom King drawing on the inside, but it wasn't. And I'm so stoked about that. And this was another good one where I think obviously it would have helped if I had read the Batman Beyond mini before this, but or a season 1 type of deal. But I don't really think that it was necessary. I feel pretty comfortable, you know, like we talked about, you know, you have a familiarity with the universe generally. But even if you didn't, you know, like the cop is his helper, like figure it out. Like, you know, it's very, you know, so that is that goes in. And honestly, that's almost the cream of the crop of what I got for an entire month. So
would you say with Batman Beyond it's kind of the same as Blade, that if you watch the show you probably are good to jump into this one?
Yeah,
you have
for
that
sure.
that background of who Terry is, and that's really
yeah. Oh, definitely. If you've watched the cartoon, I'm not even sure that if you really wanted to check it out, like it's as good a time as any. Because like I said, once you sit down and start reading it, he reads very much like Peter Parker is Batman. And then, you know, you got, oh geez, old man Bruce is his mentor too. So even if you don't know, like, you know, be some good surprises for you.
Yeah.
And the stories is pretty read along, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know where they're going with this because this is all like crazy stuff, like that big splash page you showed with like the down Gotham and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's all rad, you know. So it was worth it to me. And hell, it looks like I even paid the extra $2 or extra $1 for the card stock on that, and I don't even mind.
Yeah, you did
I
go.
couldn't recommend that one enough.
And I didn't realize it was Ejikuri because Ejikuri is the homie too. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Yeah, man, this book, I have it in my to be read pile.
Yeah, I like your cover too.
I went with the A. Obviously, it's not even about like saving $1. It's like I didn't fall in love with any of the others based on the previews images. Once I saw it in person, though, that Ejikuri did pop. So like, I'm not, you know. I'm not beating myself about it simply because Ejikuri is not doing 1 for 2, so it's not like I missed out on a set of his. Like, okay.
I FOC'd a couple covers coming up from him. Like,
he's all over. He's got a DC deal, but he's definitely all over the place rather than in a set.
Yeah, that's why it's hard for me to catch him because I'm not like, you know, most of my money goes Marvel and Independence.
Yeah. So Roy, for your number 3, we put down Gargoyles Dark Ages because you were happy with that. That's another. It's actually funny. It's been a heavy nostalgia month, really.
Dope, actually, especially because I got the Alan Quah cover.
Ooh, I love the homie Alan Quah, dude.
We'll eventually one day get this remarked and signed by him, I'm sure. Like, that's my guy. So first and foremost, boy, am I tired of hearing about you're going to get a live action Gargoyles movie. No, you're not. Please stop ruining the internet talking about this movie. It's never going to happen. If it happens, I'll buy your ticket. Hands down, I'll buy your ticket. It's never going to happen. But anyways, so this book and its parent book, which is just Gargoyles, is written by Greg Weisman, who is the original, creator. And it's absolutely like the day after sequel, pretty much, and it sticks, with the story that he was telling in the cartoons. So and the interiors, Moss does those. It is a gorgeous, perfect, like, not really homage, almost like but I don't want to say replication because that sounds cheap. It's just so true to the art style. You know what I mean? Like, it's beautiful, and I loved it. And the Dark Ages goes back to the generation before, Hudson and Mentor and Broadway and all. Well, it is Mentor. It's their generation and how they generated that pact with the humans to begin with, and the giant mistake that making deals with white men that want your land usually is. So hopefully we get to see them get a little bit of what they deserve. But this is great because you get to see like Goliath and everyone as they're like like sneaking around.
Did you read Roberta?
That's what's up. I'll take it. No, I can't. I don't have my phone. I got too many spoons in the pot here.
And then we got Robert saying one of his favorite things from Dark Ages is how they directly quoted moments from the show, which and that's what shows you that Greg Weisman's involved. You know, it's like they did these Young Justice books that were based on the TV show, and Greg Weisman didn't write them. And I'm just like, see, that's where your disconnect is. You know, you're never going to get those fans if these people don't understand what made it special to begin with.
Yeah, even if you did miraculously get that movie, all that means is the mouse used its infinite dollars to rip this IP away from its creator to churn out like whatever, dude. Like, no way.
I think Gargoyles here's the highest level I think Gargoyles can go, and it's no disrespect. Unfortunately, Ninja Turtles in the past has ruined this. I feel like Gargoyles would have made a dope CGI movie CGI movie. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I'm a big fan of Resident Evil, and Resident Evil does these movies. They go direct to DVD for the most part, but they're like CGI 3D like their entire. There is no actors. I guess they mocap.
Yeah.
You know, they might mocap, but
maybe
like
that.
they do not. It's not live action in theory. It is not, because you can do all these crazy things. You can make these monsters look dope, and nobody has to complain on the internet. Oh, that costume looks so cheap. Like
everyone's gonna complain on the internet that it's CGI and mocap and not dudes in foam suits. You're never gonna make everybody happy, and that's why I'm glad to report that you're probably not gonna get this movie to begin with. And like I'm telling you, like always, the scourge of the internet. I get kicked out of as many groups as I can join in a day because, and half of it is because of this stupid Gargoyles movie. And I'm like, bro, how can you argue over a tweet from Wiseman saying it's a flat out lie? But like, you're right. Don't worry. And I tell them the same thing. I'll buy your ticket, bro. And if the movie ever did come out, it would be the biggest nightmare ever. You'll never see another Gargoyles thing again. Meanwhile, and I always drop this, you could be reading this book right now. If you really enjoyed this cartoon as much as you say you do, then you'd be reading this book. Like, even if you don't really like comic books, like it's still like it's like a still cartoon. You can tough it out. Do you really love it or don't you? You know what I mean? Like, because like you said, let's make it CGI. Everyone's gonna complain. Let's make it suits. Everyone's gonna complain.
Either way. It's one of those things, dude. You can't adapt. It's tough to adapt. And I mean, a lot of things in this medium, comic books and this stuff, it's not meant to be done in live action, dude. Like a lot of these characters that were created, they just weren't like, yes, Batman, Captain America, those guys translate all right? It's like not difficult, but like there's a reason Hulk has struggled. There's a reason that like some of these characters have struggled. Heck, I'm one that will personally admit I had no idea how they were going to make Flash on a movie budget in live action, because it's like it's tough. Like you notice the Quicksilver scene. Oh, the Quicksilver scene is the best speedster scene I've ever seen. You notice the first time it lasted 2 minutes. Or all of 2. Like, so imagine if they tried to make the movie like, it's just hard. It's hard. So anyways, my number 3 was World's Finest Teen Titans. Number 1, Mark Waid, and I think it was Doc Shanner on the interiors, but it's the same team. Or actually, it might have been Dan Mora, but it's the same team from World's Finest Batman Superman. So same team. What's up, Roland? Same team, and it's awesome. It's literally a Teen Titans book. Done in an old-timey art style, like almost like the George Perez Wolfman art style. But what I love is it puts him in modern times. Because Roy Harper, of all people, of course, he's the freaking edgy one, whatever. Roy Harper's like, I'm going to become an influencer. And he's like setting up cameras. Like he's becoming Peter Parker in the sense that he's setting up his cameras so that he can like, and I thought that was great. And then Robin's obviously big mad about it and like everything like that. So like, I thought it was a great book. I want to see where it goes for issue 2. There's definitely cringy moments, like because like there's a hashtag when people need help. There's a hashtag that's like help me Teen Titans or something, and that's how they find out. Which I didn't love it when I saw it in Young Justice, and I don't love it now. But like I get it. It's the modern day like twist on all of this. Like how would for Batman. Well, the bat signal's useless. Why wouldn't you just tweet him, or whatever? Like I don't know. Get in his DMs. Verified accounts only. All right. Like
I didn't think about that until you brought it up. I don't know why you have to curse me with that.
So, all right, that's my number 3. Roy, you did have one other book you were hyped on, so it's your number 2.
Yeah.
Big Game, which is Mark Millar's newest Millarverse book.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not going to waste too much time going on and on about the spoiler cover again. But this takes place, obviously, in a very well-connected Millarverse. I did do a little bit of digging into some other corners, like find out who that Nemesis guy is, which is basically imagine that Batman is dressed like Moon Knight, but has the personality of like original Deadpool. Thank you. Yes. So,
ooh, look at that.
Yes. So this goes back, and you get Wesley from the fraternity, who's now grown up to be like basically king of the world. And with starting with Kick-Ass, there's become like a new like dawning of age of superheroes, and Wesley and the fraternity want to knock that out stat, so they go and they bring in this Nemesis guy, and I guess from there, they're just gonna cut him loose, and guy's not subtle, not friendly, just like ruthlessly efficient. Like when you get to being, characters like Batman who have morals for a reason, or even Moon Knight and Daredevil who still have some kind of tenuous code, you know what I mean? And that's because if not, they become guys like this. And so that's all exciting, and it's just really well written. And it's amazing to see this kind of payoff from like decades of world building that, unless you're really invested, like kind of went over a lot of people's heads probably, you know what I mean? I didn't make it very far into that Jupiter's Legacy stuff myself on Netflix, but I can imagine reading it might have been different, so
supposedly the first one is really good. Really?
Yeah. Well, that's what I like about this book, is that it makes you invested in like going to find out more about like what you missed. Like normally it's like, I can obviously live without knowing this, you know what I mean? But this makes it different. I'm like, yeah, well, first I'm gonna start researching it, then I'm gonna start buying it, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's exciting to be able to find a book that is still inspiring me to read more, and find other things I haven't read.
Yep.
I know, she's cute, right?
So my number 2 was Antarctica. I talked about it on the first week. I thought it was really cool read. I thought the art was great, matched with a good story. And like without spoiling it too much, obviously the main premise is like it has to do with the conspiracy theory that obviously something is happening in it. Antarctica is so, nobody is there unless it's for research, not because it's so cold, but because there's something going on there. And in the opening panels, it actually does such a beautiful job of showing this girl grow up through the ages. Her dad is like a scientist for the government, and he's always going off on these missions, and she just knows he's always going to come back until he doesn't.
Yeah.
And then I believe it's presumed that Antarctica was where that last mission was. By the time that happens, she is now a teenager, and her life spirals out of control a little bit, And when it's pretty much hit rock bottom, she just has this epiphany, and she decides, well, she's gonna get back on the straight, and everything like that. And she's actually gonna, because she was a very smart kid, she was a genius like her father. So she uses those skills to actually end up getting recruited to go to Antarctica for the government. Gets her dad's job. That happens in a this amount of time later. X amount of years later or whatever. She's there, and obviously she's finding out what she believed is very much true. There is more to why her father is missing and or dead, and Antarctica is not what they make you think. And I actually love the way the book played out. I'm excited for number 2. It was one of those where I didn't even bother being like, because the covers are very much similar. I didn't even bother saying I'm FOCing these from week to week. I just said subscribe. I need the 5 issues. I want to see where this goes. So I love that book. That was my favorite indie book of the month. And then my number 1 is Night Terrors. Most of it. I admit I haven't read it all. There's certain. I'll tell you, I didn't do Nightwing Punchline.
Sure.
What else did I not do? I didn't do Black Adam. I did do Shazam, but I didn't do Black Adam. There's like some that I skipped, and I told people, I was very honest about this from the beginning when people were down. People were really down on this one, and I was like, look, I get it. Like, it's not ideal to stop like all your stuff in the summer, this, that, the third, but like, you don't have to read it all. Like, I get it, right? Checklists. I think checklists are the best and worst thing a publisher does for the back of their book, because the checklist is there to be informational, and it's like, hey, here are all the books in the reading order if you want it. But like, then people look at it and like, look at all this stuff I need to have the whole story. 100% false. Again, I haven't gotten to the end of all of Night Terrors. Only issue 2 has come out, plus all of the some of the one shots. But freaking, what I think is crazy is like, there's no way. So the main premise is that this new villain, Insomnia, is looking in everybody's nightmares for the Nightmare Stone, because it's been hidden away there by a former bad guy. And you're crapping yourself if you think that the Nightmare Stone is in Black Adam's nightmare, or in Harley Quinn's nightmare, or in the Joker's nightmare. It's just not, right? It's going to be in the very last place they look. That happens after all of these. But I've absolutely enjoyed some of them.
Sure.
I just finished the Joker and the Batman one. The Batman one's solid, standard Batman stuff. Even though Deadman is running around in his body, he's actually still living a nightmare, in there. So it's like very interesting. And he can't get out of he finds at the end of the first one, he finds a way to get out of the nightmare, but he can't, because he can't wake up because Deadman's in his body. It's that kind of cool.
Man, that's
yeah.
I like that. That's cool.
And then the Joker one, and this is not a spoiler because it's the first couple of pages. The Joker one opens with the Joker. Batman trips and falls on a roof while he's fighting the Joker, and it's very much like Tim Allen's The Santa Claus. He dies. He like falls on the ground and just dies. So like, all Joker's goons are like, "We did it, boss. We killed the Batman." And Joker's like having an existential crisis because he never wanted to kill Batman. That wasn't ever his real plan. You know what I'm saying? So because he has no more meaning in life, he goes and gets an office job at Wayne Enterprises, thinking like that's how he'll ruin Batman next. And like, he ends up working his way all the way up to the top, and it's ridiculous. It's written by Matthew Rosenberg, who's written the Joker series in the past. But I thought it was hilarious. And then there's been some that like, they're whatever. I didn't love I didn't love Catwoman. I loved Poison Ivy, the story, but they put a backup artist in there. It's not drawn by what's her name? Alyssa Fong, I think is her name. Not drawn by her inside. So like, that was disappointing. So, but yeah, Night Terrors is a great series, but just read the characters you like. Zatanna was awesome. Batman, awesome. Wonder Woman, awesome. Superman was pretty good. But yeah, it's worth the read. Obviously, if you want, wait till it comes out on trade. But most comic stores definitely still have First Blood 1 and 2, and that's all you really need. And then if I had to make a crazy suggestion, I would say on the outsides, I would do Zatanna, and I would do Batman as like good for the story. Mm-hmm. Joker is kind of just a hilarious side story. Like, it's absolutely one of those not integral to the plot things, but it's a fun read. It's absolutely. I would recommend it for $3.99 to somebody, 100%.
Yeah, it sounds great.
So, Roy, your number one is, well, there is no number one. Comics just need to get better.
Yeah, man. I'm pretty sad about it. Like, I mean, it fluctuates, but I get a pretty decent stack of books every week, and I've got a good sampling from, across a lot of stuff. Obviously, nowhere near as much DC, but X-Men is my main thing, and Spider-Man is my main thing. I collect those, and it's pretty bittersweet. I picked up this, which that I love. I'd rather look at that all day, to be honest.
Oh, that's next segment.
I love how we're kicking it off, though. But so, don't get me wrong. I love this cover, man. But I read, there's some spoilers here, I guess. I don't know. It's been a week or so since the Hellfire Gala. But so hot off his death last week, Bobby Drake is starring in his new mini series. I think some of them are scheduled to go 4. I think this one might go 5. I'm not exactly sure. But this is really tragic, man. It seems like every 20 years or so, they try to like just shove Iceman down your throat. Like, I don't know why. Like, he doesn't ever generate the popularity to keep going. And like some of the stuff that they use to make him try to get him there in the spotlight are pretty well done. I know there was the big power boost that he got somewhere in the 90s, right around the time they split into X-Men Gold and Blue. Oh, for me, not those weird series that but just the teams in Uncanny X-Men and X-Men respectively. And so it's funny because we talk about this a lot, but like as our understanding of science grows, these characters' powers grow. And so understanding science made Iceman's powers a little cooler. And so that was all right because now he's not just some sloppy snowman that you don't understand why you don't melt. And then they try to make him like this Omega level mutant, which is great, I guess. I get it. Elemental hydro. It's not even hydrokinesis. It's thermal control, but only on the negative side. And I didn't know about Steve Orlando before I walked back into the comic shop last year. So I don't have like any kind of I guess prejudice against any of his stories, other than I can tell you that absolutely everything that I have read from him in the X-Men universe, which unfortunately is a lot in the last year, is all just garbage, man. Like so bad. Like in this book, right? So Iceman came out as homosexual, and that is fantastic.
And that I believe they did that. That's not like a retcon.
It's not a retcon. It actually fits in with his character this whole time. Like representation always matters. That, believe me, I'm sidestepping through all of that because I love it. What I want to get at is in this book, he shows up to rescue human beings who are now getting identified as mutants by Orcus taking over cell phones from like Transformers, when even the cell phones could be like rap, 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 rap. So Orcus is doing that to our cell phones with pollen, and they're attacking people who used to do the experimental drug that gave you mutant powers, which used to be called Kick, but now is apparently called Experience. I don't know. But so when he's done rescuing everybody, and being back from the dead and all, he like swoops up this guy and he gives him this big kiss. And people especially from Sarasota, will remember we have this giant monument to that old school picture of a sailor embracing that woman. And everyone thinks it's the greatest thing ever. And when you do the backstory on that photo, it's really like completely non-consensual and aggressive. And that woman didn't even want to be involved in that kiss. And in Sarasota, they made this giant statue of it because they don't know their past. And that's incredible. And then that moment happens in this book. And I'm like, what is going on? And then he goes back. I'm going to ruin this whole book for you. You turn it off if you don't want to hear me, because this is terrible. Then he goes to his Fortress of Solitude because he has that. Since when? Since he died last week, of course, but he didn't die because his partner is able to scoop up his emotions and put him in a giant ice satellite dish that amplifies his powers from the Fortress of Solitude so that Bobby can keep his consciousness together in other places. I am not making this up. And sure, that's this book, but it's also, like I said, hot off being dead last week. You got to be kidding me. And they just did this with Kamala Khan, the same thing. Oh, she's dead. Oh, fallen for a friend. Oh, she's alive. That really happened like 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on?
And like you said, it just doesn't have the right. And you said it even with Blade at number 5. It's like it would have been better, but it's like it doesn't have stakes.
Yeah, it's a great Blade story because as long as you don't screw it up, it's already a great Blade story. It's a great character. It's a great concept. It's got great history, a rich field of characters, because you can never run out of vampire warlords and werewolf warlords, and well, you know what I mean. Heck, they're spilling over into Moon Knight. You know,
it's actually funny. Steven says something that I always say. Not only just like, why are we the experts on these books? How do they not have their own resident lore nerd? And it's funny. That's supposed to be an editor. Now, when I say editor, I don't actually mean like every book has an editor. That's your guy who's proofreading it, you know, everything like that. Back in the day, DC used to have a Batman editor. And that person wasn't necessarily the guy who like proofreaded the book. If you were writing Batman in your book, so yes, he edited all of the mainline Batman books. But if you wrote Batman Incorporated, let's say, you had to get your script or your story through the Batman editor, and he would likely come back with tweaks because he's like, hey, our Batman is currently not doing that, like, or this is da 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 da. And I think that makes all the sense in the world. Like, I get it. It's another employee. In theory, I would probably just make it somebody. I would just give somebody a raise, right? Like, find your best editor or your best guy and be like, hey, look, you're promoted to Batman editor, whatever. And Jonathan Hickman was that at
Head of
the
X.
very beginning. He was the head of X, is what they called it, which was genius. Just make its own name for it. He was the head of X at the very beginning of House and Powers. But there's clearly a point, and I wish I could go back. I'm sure at some point, Roy, you and like a guy like Dan would be able to find out where it was clearly that Hickman was gone. And
Inferno.
Like,
it's right after Inferno. Yeah, it's right after Inferno.
So Hickman was no longer that. Apparently, I believe what he thought was going to be one concise story, Marvel wanted to expand into to more and more and more. And he
yeah, House of X 2, the search for more money.
Yeah, I can't do that. So Hickman, I don't know, and I don't know how the inner workings work. You know, I don't know if DC continues to have a Batman editor. I don't know if Marvel has a head of X. But you're at least for those big franchises, more I'd say likely Spider-Man, X-Men, Batman, Superman, and maybe your Justice League and Avengers.
The Avengers, dude, you have to have a squad of people to help you just through the brown jacket era. You know, like. But yeah, they should do something along those lines. But I mean,
and like Steven says, if we know, they should know too. And I used to work at a college, and the running joke in our office, we were low level, like, I mean, not janitor, you know, or anything, not you know, but we were
a janitor, level. Sir.
Yeah, we were low level. We were about that level. And I remember the joke in the office was, well, that makes too much sense for them to do. And it's crazy to me. And I always used to make the joke in the shop. We're sitting here talking things that clearly make sense. And there's guys making $100,000 sitting in a boardroom at DC or Marvel or Disney or Warner Brothers, whatever. And it's like, that guy didn't think that. And it could be because they don't read comics at all, or they're so disconnected from the media. It could be any number of things. But like, it does blow my mind that us as the residential nerds, you know, as the consumer, really, that's what we are. We're the consumer to them. And as the consumer, we have to be the experts, and we have to be the ones that check them. I mean, heck, dude, terrible example, but the Sonic movie, the character design for Sonic the first time.
Right.
Like, it looked terrible. And it took the fans telling the whole movie crew, hey, that looks awful. Just go back to what he looks like as like on the promotional stuff, and like, you'll be fine.
Just do it right.
Yeah. So it's crazy to me. We've gone off on a tangent about the but it's true. Everybody, Steven, you're not alone, and like, it's absolutely that they should know better, right? Is like, honest. Like, I don't want like there's probably way nicer words. Somebody that's better with words than me would probably like put it more eloquently, but like, they should know better.
I don't know. And like I said, I didn't mean to go like that far off, especially on a book that just dropped a few days ago. And I hate to be divisive and alienating. And if you do like this book, by all means, like, who the hell am I? You know what I mean? And enjoy what you want to enjoy for whatever reason you enjoy it. And so for those reasons, I try not to get so in depth like that, but it's just like prevalent through like so many comics. And I know that it just gets down to like anything else. Well, if you don't like what you're reading, why don't you just scroll past? Like, I get it, but like, I remember, you know, like, I kind of made a promise to a 12-year-old boy that someone forgot to take care of a long time ago, that he wouldn't have to worry about where his comic books were anymore, you know? And so I buy those books anyways, because for that reason they have value to me. But like, man, you could give me something other than, oh my God, this issue, this character dies.
Well,
Tomorrow, their brand new miniseries starts. Like,
well, and you know, and this is the last thing we'll talk about before we go to New Comic Day. I remember being so baffled, you know, when the kerfuffle of
I love it when you say that.
Avengers Infinity War, whatever the first one is. Let's just call it Avengers Last One Part 1. Like when that happened, because I saw that in theaters. I was dragged to that. I saw that. I remember watching a ton of people crying. And I remember being like, I didn't say it out loud because at that point I wasn't the person I am now. But I remember thinking like, why are you guys crying?
I can tell you why I cried.
Spider-Man has a movie coming out. If I'm remembering correctly,
Yeah.
The second Tom Holland movie was literally coming out months after that movie, so way before Endgame.
Yep.
So there was that. Black Panther 2, and that's unfortunate because like in it's one of those things when you look back at it, that was his last performance. You know what I'm saying? Everybody says that what if cartoon, but like, yeah, unfortunately we never got to see him come back for Black Panther 2, but Black Panther 2 was announced. So like, it's just like, don't fool us. I feel like in comic books and in nerd culture, it's like, don't give us the George R.R. Martin thing, but then give us Walking Dead, you know, on the back end, like where it's like, oh look, they all died, and it's like, but look, he was hiding under a dumpster and he's all fine. Like,
It's
no,
rough, man.
no, he wasn't. You killed him and he's gone. We can always bring them back years later when you're not writing him, but like, don't write. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm all for bringing a dead character back. Ted Kord shows back up in comics, I'm all for it. When Alfred finally shows back up, I am all for it. But it's whatever. So, anyways, the books that we picked up this week, I had a pretty small stack.
Me too.
Like we talked about at the beginning of the show. It was week 1 of a 5 Wednesday week. So you'll probably see the final Wednesday of the month will be light, and this one will be light, and then they'll pack it in the middle 3 weeks. It happens. There used to literally be a time in comics where they did not publish comics on the 5th week. That's why annuals were invented, because well, not invented. Let's be real. Those were invented. Annuals were redefined because they were like, this is our filler issue. This is our filler week. But I'll go through my stack real quick because mine's easy. I had Night Terrors Batman number 2. These number 2s of the Night Terrors one-shots, they're the finales. These were each just 2 issues, beginning, middle, end. So this is the finale of Batman. Then I got Poison Ivy. My only complaint about this is this exterior artist is not doing the interiors. I think it's Alyssa Fong is her name. Jessica Fong. Jessica Fong is not doing interiors.
Oh, you're mixing up with Alyssa Wong, who writes Deadpool and such.
That's what it is. This is the cover Lauren got. I think this might be Ejikuri. No, this is Lyrics.
No, that's the cover I was supposed to get.
I think they still have it at Blackbird. I was there yesterday getting that drink that I always get that I forget the name of.
I don't know. You called it the Incredible Hulk one time because you know it was called, and I just call it that now too.
I think it's called Let the Good Times Roll.
I think it is called that.
This is Joker number 2. Again, this is, if you just want a fun read, forget if you're doing any of the Night Terrors, because there's a little editor's note at the beginning of each of these that explains why the heck they're in a nightmare. If you just want a fun read, pick up Joker Night Terrors 1 and 2. Great book. Great book. Matthew Rosenberg. Awesome. Lauren got Grimm number 12. Did you get Grimm?
I did.
You get same cover? You go for variant?
I had to grab it in anger because wasn't in my file like it was supposed to be. So I do have that cover.
Oh, that cover. And then Lauren, being a huge Jenny Frieson fan, this is the 1 in 15 to Rick Remender's The Sacrificers, I believe. This was a free comic book day book. Like the preview for this was in free comic book day, but this is dope. So Lauren has all that. So
it looks like that original art she just brought home from Con.
Yes, I was just gonna say very similar. So what did you get, Roy? What do you got to show off?
I got all kinds of stuff to show off. I mean, it's all great on the front, right?
Yeah.
So I went for the incentive because it's my boy Lucio Perillo.
Oh yeah.
So I'm soaking up his Gargoyles covers. Like I love Nakayama, and all of those covers are great. And I have a couple. Like if I can grab 2 covers, I definitely grab that Nakayama A. but I always FOC the Perio covers. They look amazing. And so they did this. I don't remember if it was one in 25, I think it was. But so that is awesome. And that's continuing Jed McKay's story. Not a great jumping on point, but I'm pretty sure they're about to wrap it all up because they're all these awesome street level heroes. They're taking all the writers away and making them go do other stuff. So I got Static on the DC side of things. So this is doing so incredibly well that they actually extended it to an issue number 7, which I believe I talked about. Man, they bring in Eben here, and he's awesome. If you're not familiar, he's kind of like a Dark Force power user, like is a good analogy for it. You know, manipulation of shadows, portals. You know, anywhere that he could travel through shadows, so stuff like that. Visually stunning character. Nicholas Draper Ivy continues to just
that Static team. They need to keep that together. Whatever they do, where they're going to bring them in mainline, keep the milestone. I don't care. Keep that core group together for Static.
For real, yes. Like him and Vita Ayala, they are just killing it. I know that he's got some personal projects coming up. So I'm really excited to see like what he does with the characters that are close to his heart. Not to say that Static is not. I'm sure it is, without a doubt. But like I said, his own original characters. You get it. So like that'll be awesome. But yeah, keeping them together, it would be clutch for this. I don't know why they'd ever stop it. I don't know what the sales look like for this book, but I would imagine is this the only milestone for this run, or is this in Dawn?
They were milestone, right? They had the little milestone top left corner every time.
This is all. Yeah, this is just milestone. They're running a couple of things right now. I just had a Static Shock team up with like a Nancy. There's Icon versus Hardware is going on. They're struggling to keep up with distribution dates, I believe, but they're coming out. They're coming out, and they're always worth the wait.
Hardware, right? Is Hardware still going? Hardware's
I don't think Hardware is going on its own. I could be wrong. Right now, I think it's just Icon versus Hardware.
Okay.
But they did that milestone initiative, which is a great talent scouting kind of thing of theirs.
The homie Jared LaJuan was in there.
Yes,
Corey.
Exactly. So that's always phenomenal, and I don't know, couldn't say enough about that. That's a great book, man. It's awesome to sit there and watch like Virgil like with his parents and see like a comic book character that has like an actual healthy relationship with their parental figures. They're not dead or evil villains. You know what I mean? And the support that he gets from his sister and things like that. And the way that they are able to really capture that dynamic, you know what I mean? That's I love it. And that's the stuff that like always kept me coming back to shows like Family Matters or, unfortunately, even the Cosby Show back in the day, because they're able to capture that actual element of the family and how it exists in that. And I think they got it here, you know what I mean? In spades. So I got that. Bro, you know.
Oh, I was just going to say, I saw that came out. I didn't pick it up, but Lobo, the main man,
You did not grab this open order foil facsimile of Omega Man number 3? Are you kidding me?
I did. I love Lobo.
I did. I love this. This Lobo is a dude like where I can tell you like exactly where I was the first time I ever bumped into that character. And it was, to spare you a long story, it was a guy that ran a bookstore on Main Street in Sarasota. And he had like the comics of like the ages, you know what I mean? And so he's like, bro, you like Wolverine? He's like, you ever heard of Lobo? And like, so he sat there and like, I mean, he had a great like deluxe kit to sell me for like $30 at the end of his speech, but like a Lobo fan was born, Yeah. So yeah, I definitely grabbed this, and I mean, I can't go get it. You're crazy, dude. You're crazy. I got X-Men number 25. I am always Yep. You know it. I am a sucker for these trading card covers. I have my old cards. I have that fleece blanket they made out of it. I'm gonna get that hardcover book they made out of it eventually. anytime they have these trading card covers, I always get one, and it's been going on like the whole run.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm still missing, like, because by the time that I came in, this book was on like, I want to say 8 or 9 when I first showed up at the shop. So I have to go and find those at some point. But yeah, man, trading card covers got me every time. I got Death of the Venomverse. That's Cullen Bunn and Sandoval with this Bjorn Barons cover.
Bjorn,
Because,
dude.
yeah, this guy, I mean, I don't know where this guy came from. I have a few ideas, but like he's just killing me with these covers. This and Ghost Rider, and I saw like once again we were in a group and someone was talking about like how come like Spider-Man is the only one who gets awesome covers, and we're like, bro, you ever heard of Bjorn Barons? And that comment just blew up because they're like, what are you talking about right now? Like, and to talk about like that Mighty Morphin. My wife ended up, obviously because we were talking about it, but she got targeted for an ad, and she's like, bro, this is not like your mom's Power Rangers. And I was like, no, but that book is definitely going to Blackbird for me. Like, I definitely ordered that. And not that I have anything against Power Rangers. I think that for me, it was just a matter of where I was at in age and my life when it dropped. So it just kind of missed me. And I got great respect for it. You know what I mean? For sure. But I like it kind of like a know the morphing world, but be not of it is where I'm at. So I was kind of surprised when I was like, I definitely want that cover because that's ill. So I got that. I got the Spider-Man annual. The reason why we couldn't figure this out is because it's Sowie.
Sowie?
Yeah, so we know Sowie, but when I looked it up on like League of Geeks, it gave us like the last name, and we were both like, "Who?"
Oh,
so that's why.
Yeah,
and of
because
course,
it's
once
awesome
again,
cover. That cover.
oh yeah, it's beautiful. I haven't done this one yet because I believe that's part of the Contest of Chaos, and that's one of those things where in order to get the real bang for my buck and my therapist, I wait until it's all out at one time and read it in one run. And Contest of Chaos is on that. Warlock Rebirth.
Warlock.
Yep. Because anytime it's like 90s Warlock, dude, you got me. And this is a good throwback to all of that. You know, Ron Lim, Mars. This is a good team to go back to the 90s era Warlock, which is just my Warlock, you know. I'm not going to spend any time on other versions of Warlock. Whoever version of Adam Warlock is your Adam Warlock, good for you. Spider-Man Miles Morales and the Strange Academy.
Which was an interesting crossover in itself.
I didn't see this coming. I started late because I didn't have the original Strange Academy, but because it came out before I got to the shop. Once I got to the shop, the second class started, and it's trading card covers. So I collected it all. And then that was something else that once I got to 5 and it was over, I sat down and read it and I really enjoyed it. Ended up picking up the trade for the stuff that I missed before. And so when I'm going through books for the FOC and they're like, oh, Strange Academy, Miles Morales. And I'm like, does it have Humberto Ramos connecting covers? And they were like, yeah.
Yeah, it does.
And so here we are. So I have not read that yet. I just got my books on Saturday, so I'm behind. So I rushed into Iron Man or Iceman, so I'd have something to talk about, and then it ended up being the theme of the show. So you'll have to forgive me for not being current on this week's books. I got, as always,
Magneto and the Howard the Duck.
The Howard the Duck cover, the only good comic book movie. So. Enough said there. Interested in that story. It goes. It takes like a kind of like a Lost Years approach. I know they introduced a new key character in this issue, and very excited to see where that all goes. But don't really have much to report on it for now, other than that. I'll spare you the Grimm cover because we've done it. I would show you my Lucio Perillo cover for Gargoyles, but it was not in my box like I FOC'd months ago. And so instead I settled for this gorgeous Gargoyles cover by David Nakayama. So if you're going to get stiffed, this is like the best way to get stiffed, I would say.
And Nakayama, I think he's been on the ace for that for a while.
The whole time.
He's been doing good job on that.
Oh, gorgeous.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Perillo has the vibe of Gargoyles down. That's the thing. It's like he's got that.
And once again, even though it's not him on the inside, that's what. Here, do you want me to peel the rest of it? Let me see. We're not going outside. It's a million degrees out there. Let me see. Give me your banana. Give it. So the art on the inside of that is like, it's like the cartoon, but like now. You know what I mean? It's so beautifully done. Hey, do you want this, you Morlock? Come get it. I'm gonna make you go live in the sewers. All right, there you go. Get out of here. Doctor Strange, number 6. Nick Klein, all the time. While this is not my favorite Nick Klein image ever, it doesn't disappoint. I know that you guys can't see it. Eventually,
it's not bad. It's not bad.
Eventually, we'll figure something out. You know what I mean? I'm trying to play with the lighting and stuff. I'm not pulling them in and out of the bags for you every time, especially not because I accidentally got the wrong size and they're in there tight. I also got Poison Ivy. The Night Terrors that we're on here is Poison Ivy, Zatanna, and Punchline.
Okay.
Are the ones that we're collecting on here. I grabbed this cover because it was supposed to be the lyrics cover and it was not in my file like I FOC'd months ago. However, I was at Blackbird and this David Mack cover caught my eye from like a million miles away, of course.
What book is that for? I kept trying to figure it out.
So it's related to the Pathfinder game. And I don't know what that is. It's a it says it's role-playing game compatible. Stranger Comics is the publisher. The story inside is very familiar, you know, so that's good. So you don't have to know whatever Pathfinder is. I didn't. You know, it's there's elves and there's people, and the elves and the people don't get along, and one guy, like his father is kind of like the king, and they do the whole thing where he adopts a human, and now they have to deal with each other and then enter the girl. And so now you have the human and elf who are brothers who hate each other, and now they're in love with the same girl. But of course, it's going to take them all to, you know,
they're gonna go
right.
well.
But so the interiors of this were slapping, dude. Like it's going to be really hard to show you because it's dark. It's
It looks
dark
like it.
book. This is kind of light.
Yeah, that's clean.
It's super clean. This is like I said, it's hard for me to find. You got to look at this one on your own, but it's great. So this
what's the title of the book? What's it say on the like splash page, or what do you call it? The indicia?
I can't remember. There are notes in the back to help fill it in. Also, like some of the lore. I honestly can't remember what the name of the book was.
Because that was dope. I didn't even see it when I was going through Midtown. Like I was just like, I don't know.
The David Mack cover. We were walking Blackbird and it was like, bam. So it's called Tales of Asunda. Asunda, which I imagine is some land in the Pathfinder.
Yeah.
It's very, very steeped in African folklore, culture, tradition. That's some of the imagery you could see going on there. So I would imagine that Asunda is like that. You know what I mean? Like maybe not like technologically advanced like Wakanda, but the same concept within that Pathfinder universe. I'm assuming the actual now that I've got it pulled up on my CLZ, shout out. The plot: Elven Prince Wasso lost his mother at the hands of humans. So when his father adopted Dusu, a human boy, Wasso was understandably filled with resentment. Now Dusu competes with him for the affections of Unseal, but perhaps their struggle will open the door to understanding between the brothers.
I like it. It is a little
yeah. So it's jump in. You know what I mean? I don't know anything about Pathfinder. I enjoyed that book. And then the last thing I got, sorry, we're over time again, like always. That's what I love.
Ooh, the Fire and Ice.
I got Fire and Ice because they're adapting it from the old Frank Frazetta, Ralph Bakshi animated film. This is one of those ones when you were my age that like if you had like an older brother or you hung out with older kids, like they always had like a VHS copy of like this and heavy metal and stuff, and you know you'd watch that. And so Fire and Ice is a great sword and sorcery type tale. And then of course they like suck me in because it's Bill Sienkiewicz doing a Frank Frazetta homage piece. Like come on, dude. And then so everything in there is great because it's based off the movie. So if you like the movie, you like the book, there's no reason to really change this plot whatsoever. The interiors are reminiscent of like an old Conan mag, so they're great. It's obviously not built on the inside. And then that's where I'm at.
So
I'm finally out.
next, and yours are going to be more relevant. I wanted, since we're at the end of the month or beginning of the next month, the cover of the month. You have a series more so than me. I'm straight up just like
Love it.
that.
That's also my cover of the month.
Yeah, that Kendrick Lim, and he's doing one for number 2.
I ordered that 1 in 50.
I think that's one of the few covers that I got the B of Night Terrors, because since I knew I was getting so much, I kind of figured the dollar will add up. So this is the Kendrick Lim Kakunka variant for Night Terrors Zatanna. And then Roy, you just wanted to kind of mention your cover of the month is more so the Hellfire Gala stuff.
Yeah, I figured I mean, dude, we're already like super over time, so I don't know about struggling to
You got a favorite? You got a favorite?
No. See, this is the thing. I lied to you. So we've been friends for a while now, but I think it's fair to say that we're still kind of like in the honeymoon part, you know, where like I still try to hide some of my weirder quirks from you. And one of them is definitely that I do not have a favorite of anything other than everything is my favorite everything. I will tell you that whatever movie is my favorite movie, and it will be a different movie every single time. I'll tell you it's the best movie ever made. Also, Snatch, for the record. But so I know I don't have a favorite. There are cool ones. The composition on this Vision, God, I hate this. One day I'll get it. The composition on this Vision was amazing. This is like him down by the great tree in Arbor Magna on Krakoa. He's shirtless because he can be. You know what I mean? He's got it like that. There, it's a little bit better. So that's one of my favorites as far as like the composition goes.
Was there a Miles one or not yet?
Oh, yeah. There's a Miles one. They're all out. I've got them all now. Finally. This one was a stunner. Everyone loves this character because why not? Like, sometimes the fanfic is better than the story, and so they just take the fanfic and run with it. And so there you go. There's Rasputin the Fourth.
Yeah.
But this cover's amazing. This Nova slaps.
The Nova was good.
And then, dude, don't even get me started on the King right here.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and of course it doesn't do it justice. The way that you can see like the constellations inside of the Panther here are phenomenal. And the mandala in the background. And then he looks regal.
Dude, I was there when he got that last week at
this is the Tampa Bay Comic-Con. Real ones know.
Dude, that was great. That's so funny. Rob peeped that.
Real ones know.
All right, show up one more. What next best one?
One more. Okay. Although the Sam Wilson was really, really, really good.
Sam Wilson was good.
But this Fantomax slaps. These colors pop so hard.
Yeah, he's like chilling. He's like in the club. He's like, I'm VIP, dog. I'm sitting here. I'm chilling.
And still sad. Like, these colors on here pop so hard. Dude. I'm in love with this. So if you can see this, you know what I mean, for yourself. Popping. Like the way like the light effects are coming down onto like the whole book. The right here, as you can see, like this, and by his feet, and then up here, the way it's radiating down. This doesn't do it like any justice whatsoever. So that one's probably one of my absolute favorites.
Boom. So Hellfire Gala is the dopest covers of the month. Kendrick Lim killing it as well. Those covers are dope. Yeah, and it's like,
to be clear, you tried to make me choose from this.
Yeah. That's how many came out, because it was for everybody that was invited to the gala. So it was like a lot of people. It's like everybody.
Yeah, there's a lot of people.
You've been all right to the X-Men. You're invited.
That's So, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say next we're gonna go to FOC. So that means there's no Hellfire Galas on the FOC. No. You say they're onto a new event. Is Marvel onto a new event yet on FOC?
Well, we're still doing Ultimate Invasion.
Oh, okay.
So that's what's really going on right now. They're working toward Fall of X is the X-Men one. What is it, buddy?
Windows.
Follow X is the big X movie. What? This?
Share.
What is it?
There we go.
These?
Bum bum bum.
Sorry, like I've got to do a. Well, I don't know what it is.
FOC, I'm gonna kind of fly through. This Capitura Universal Truths, only one cover. It's 6-issue miniseries. It's written by Chip Zdarsky. So
That's what's up.
back because you demanded it. Yes, you. Don't you remember? We're having drinks and you said, "Hey, whatever happened to was it Capitana?" So yeah, it's from the series Capitana.
Okay.
It's raining hard now.
I FOC'd that local man because it's the it's open order foil and it's the throwback to the Whiskers Deathmate.
Yeah, the old school 90s goodness. So yeah, that's
so
cool.
yeah.
Local Man. It's a one shot from the Local Man series. There is a B cover. The other thing I wanted to show off, good Spawn Scorched Matina cover, of course. And then World Tree is still out there. James Tynan, Fernando Blanco. For Boom, you have Alice Never After. That was one of our picks of the month.
I grabbed that B cover.
There is a cover and there is a B cover. There's also an Adam Hughes FOC cover. So make sure you get your FOC requests in for that ASAP.
Wow.
ASAP.
Gotta be today.
Firefly, The Fall Guys. Lauren is really excited about this. There's a Francavilla cover, but what I'm really excited about is the Florentino cover. It looks like that'll be a series of each character.
Cool.
There is Hunt for the Skinwalker #1 with a Martin Simmons. I'm pretty sure that's a Martin Simmons. Martin Simmons cover, baby. Sci-fi book with a creepy Martin Simmons cover. There is Something Is Killing the Children ball cap. That's up your alley.
I tried to order that and it won't let me.
Oh, for realsies?
Yep. I definitely tried to order that. I hope my wife's not watching this segment. Yeah, I tried to get that $35 hat and they're like, they're not gonna let you do that, Playboy. And I was like, oh, okay.
Dude, you should honestly, I'm sure, like, because it's gonna be orderable through Diamond and Dave's. He's probably done it already, but the orders aren't due till Monday. You could probably message them, and I'm sure like they'd be happy to just be like, "Hey, we'll put one on there." Because
I just let it go at that point.
It's like not worth it. For DC, I'm not a big Superman guy, but Dan Waters is writing this Action Comics Presents Doomsday special. So
I was intrigued.
Did you grab? There's the A cover is Bjorn, so like I was like, you know what? I don't have to spend any extra money. Like it's the cheapest cover, so I special ordered my A cover. At least I think I did. This thing is telling me I did it. Nope, it shows it. I did. So I got that A cover by Bjorn, but there's also Dan Jurgens, Perillo, Lee, which I think is In Huck.
Yeah, that's why I had to stop looking at these covers. I was like, man, I'm gonna end up buying this just for the cover and no other reason.
Batman, Catwoman, Gotham War. That's gonna be like an 8-issue series that takes place across Batman and Catwoman. So it's essentially your next event after Night Terrors. There is a really good Kale cover. Kale cover's hot. And the blank cover, I think, is hot. I'm not a big Batman, Catwoman person.
The trade dress on it is rad, though.
Yeah, I think a sick sketch could happen on that.
For sure.
It sucks that there's no art, but there is a Batman Day 2023 Batman 89 hardcover special edition. That's the Batman 89, like the movie adaptation, which is pretty cool because it shows.
Surprised the art isn't just the movie logo symbol.
Well, they've already done that. So like I'm sure they got somebody commissioned something. Birds of Prey #1 will be on next week's FOC, but they're doing a trifold cover by Frank Cho. So that is on this FOC. It's trifold, so that means you'll open it, flip. Catwoman Uncovered,
baby.
Catwoman Uncovered has a few covers. Don't forget, Catwoman Uncovered is just a art book of Catwoman covers.
Bro, you always throwing shade on the cover books.
I just don't want when the first one came out, people were like, "What the heck is this?" So I want to make sure everybody knows.
That's fair. Well, I mean, that's a good so spreading information while we're here.
There's a Frank Cho, and obviously there's an Artgerm foil. Let's be real. This is going to be the coolest looking. That's going to be cover of the month for September or whenever that comes out. Let's be really real, because it already looks good. And it's gonna be foil, so like that's coming.
Man,
Night Terrors Night's End. So this is the finale. This is your Omega A cover. Simone DeMeo, Miko Soyan. Then we've got, a couple books that are here on the tail end. Static Up All Night. That is technically going to be a young adult graphic novel, but I think if you like Static, like Robert, I don't think this is going to be out of your depth. You know what I'm saying? Like,
ordered it. Yeah.
I don't think this will be written too young, like too like kiddie for you. So like this is really exciting because Static doesn't get, other than his comic that obviously runs a little bit slower, it's a little bit delayed. This is your next best Static thing,
Yeah.
So, I'm excited for that.
I assumed it was going to be somewhere in the vein of like Beast Boy Loves Raven. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so my 16-year-old digs that, you know what I mean? So I ordered it anyways, just because I'm going to, and then I will get whatever I get out of it. And then I'm sure they will be like, absolutely. And anytime I can involve another member of my family and get them roped in, like the best thing ever was when they did that crazy Exterminator series for X-Men, where it's like Boom Boom and Jubilee and Dazzler, and they just go killing all these vampires. And it was the most oddball story ever, but like everyone in my house was reading it. So like, I really enjoy that. You know what I mean?
Yo, what's up, Bush? How you doing? Thanks for joining us on Twitch, my friend. How are you?
That's
Robert, the release date on Static Up All Night is November 7th. Because I guess since that falls under the trade category, the FOCs are more, they have to go print them. I'd like to hope, again, I have no influence on this, but that just based on the look, I'd like to think Blackbird and lots of other comic stores will definitely order that. Last thing from DC I want to point out is they're facsimiling the #1 of Wonder Woman from 1987. That's when George Perez took over as artist and writer. Cool A cover. There's going to be a blank cover probably with this trade dress, the old school trade dress, but there's a open order $5.99 foil. I will be getting that because George Perez was one of my like comic heroes. Love the guy. So there is a cover for Amazing Spider-Man featuring Daisy Duck as Miss Marvel.
I did the Vasquez.
Vasquez is dope. It looks like he's in the black suit. Spider-Man's first hunt. So this is actually the beginning of a story arc. Amazing Spider-Man 33 featuring Craven. So get to know that.
And I think it's going to be like a pretty big storyline too. Like I think they have like an overarching plan for like 2 years or something like that. I think I have to research that. Don't quote me, but I think I saw something like that.
That's cool. And then we got Captain America #1. So I guess we're relaunching that. There's an A cover. There's a Frank Miller cover. This is written by J. Michael Straczynski. So there's a Frank Miller cover. There's a Gary Frank. There's the homie George Perez, Humberto Ramos, John Romita Jr. There's a Car Andrews foil variant that'll be probably like about $12.99, $11.99. Michael Cho, Avengers 60th Anniversary. Olivier Coipel, always doing great work. A lot of covers on that, and no incentives. I can't speak for that. But a lot of covers. Let me see anything else the Ghost Rider Wolverine Weapons of Vengeance Omega. So that's going to be hitting. You got A cover there. You got a Williams variant, pretty simple. Immortal X-Men. I think that's a Miko Soyan A cover of Wolverine.
I believe it is.
Then you got your Quiet Council that's still going on. I know somebody that they love that so much they show up at the comic book store once a month to make sure they get that. Magneto 2 is on FOC. Moon Knight has a cool Stormbreakers cover. Rom #1 getting a facsimile.
Wait, read it again. Isn't it foil?
There's a foil. Yep. There's a blank.
I ordered that.
Scarlet Witch, great. I hear Scarlet Witch is more popular than Superman. That's what I hear. Silver Surfer Rebirth Legacy. So this is a new Silver Surfer Rebirth. You got an A cover. Frank Miller. I actually think that's a very solid Frank Miller.
It is.
Yeah. A John Tyler Christopher Negative Space. I think that's what a lot of people are going to chase is that Thanos.
I pulled it, yeah.
And then you got a Ron Lim. You guys all know how I feel about Ron Lim. You've hung out with me like more than once at the comic shop. You know how I feel about Ron Lim.
What's up,
Daryl?
But Magneto, Ron Lim is the guy that did all that stuff for us.
I know.
He took over for Perez when he didn't finish Infinity Gauntlet. And so like a lot of people like they'll like Ron Lim is like their guy for that stuff. I assume this Silver Surfer is going to be kind of in the same vein as the Warlock Rebirth stuff. So I will be picking this up because I'm hoping it kind of, goes back to that era.
And it's Ron Mars and Ron Lim, so it's the same creative team.
It's it's what you want. It's like what I'm telling you about, like Mackie and stuff doing Ghost Rider for you. It's everything you want. It's the people who did it when you wanted it.
Yep.
Thank you.
The Spider-Gwen annual has some sick covers. I mean, is there actually a Spider-Gwen book going on, or are they just dropping this annual to drop the annual, right? Am I that out of touch? No,
bro. It's the contest of chaos, man. It's chaos.
And we needed an extra story, call it an annual. But they went like all out with the covers. A cover is I don't know how to say this person's name, but let's just say it's great. It's a good cover. Then they've got Ji Hyung Lee doing an awesome cover. Miracle Andolph is doing an awesome cover. Yeah, I know nothing about that. Why they've got an annual for a book like that. Ejikuri.
Yeah.
Not
because it'll sell.
That's true. That is 100%.
It'll sell.
Spine Tingling Spider-Man number 0. Who's writing this? Oh, Salim Ahmed. So he's picking up 2 things in the next month. So we'll see how that goes.
I ordered it.
A Greg Land is a Peach Momoko.
I got that Momoko.
Then
she lends herself really well to creepy Spider-Man.
Yes.
She did some of those Deadly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and it was good. Or was it?
Star Wars has some action figures, some Return of the Jedis. Ultimate Invasion 2 is hitting a second print. Venom 23 is hitting. Did you FOC that, Ken Lashley?
Which one?
Venom 23 second print.
No, because I don't really do Venom so much right now. Like it's weird to jump onto that because like all of that King in Black and Absolute Carnage and all that stuff happened while I was gone. And I haven't. So that's like huge chunks of what you would need. You know what I mean? So I'm not too current on that. And plus I get a whole bunch of Lashley love elsewhere. I got that. Well, I was supposed to have the Lashley cover for that Iceman book, but it wasn't in my box.
So you got the A.
No, I still got the Scotty. I ordered.
Oh yeah, you got the Scotty. That's what you showed off. Dude.
Yeah.
Are you doing the Alex Ross connecting X-Men's? Because that is sick.
Well, it looks like I'm doing it in part because I guess I was supposed to get one Wednesday, but it wasn't in my box.
Is it from the X-Men books? Is it X-Men 25, X-Men 26, X-Men 20?
No, I don't know the entire spread, to be honest. And I know that after I know this one, I'm pretty sure I ordered from Blackbird, but all the ones that just came out that I was supposed to have, I don't. So I don't know.
So this is sick. There's Alex Ross. It's Magneto on this one. A cover is actually awesome with that White Queen on the cover, probably.
Yeah, because they're getting married.
They're getting married. I forgot. So then there's also a 60th anniversary. There's a corner box. There's a trading card, which has your favorite mutant, Miss Marvel.
I got it because the trading card cover.
Yep, I know you did.
Sigh. You didn't break it. It's okay. It's not
Dynamite, I'm going to fly through. There's obviously Gargoyles with a Nakayama, a Perillo, a Larix, a Lee, a Fleece, and Forestner. There is, let's see. There might be honestly like the end for the most part. I feel like, Conan, number 2 from Titan. Titan has the Conan rights. There's Conan the Barbarian.
I think like everybody does, right? Because it's just
open
public domain now.
Public domain now. So
I
there
think
you
go.
go. It Eats What Feeds It appears to be getting re-released by Scout in what's called Legacy Editions. Cool little book. It's a little horror book. I remember reading this when it first came out 2 years ago. Horror book. Ladies like tasked with taking care of this like elderly lady who never leaves her house, and when she brings her the food, she realizes it smells bad. So on and so forth. Turns out the lady's eating like human parts. So yeah, that's interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Horror. Masters of the Universe, Forge of Destiny, number 1. You got 2 covers for that, or 3 covers, sorry. And I think that's really it for FOC. There's obviously always going to be graphic novels. You can always see this at previewsworld.com/final orders due. Very easy to see. And if your store uses Pullbox, you can log in and just simply order them. That will allow you to see DC because DC will not be on here. If you're looking for DC and you're not on Pullbox, just go to lunardistribution.com. You will easily find that. So we went over even longer
Sorry.
when we went over the first 2 times, so we did great. But that's because we did recap the month of July. We did that thing. We did top 10, everything like that. So I did want to end with, in case you missed it. In that sense, it wasn't if you missed anything from the show, but more so I wanted to be like if you missed anything in comics over the last bit. The things I wanted to say in case you missed it is 8 Billion Genies came out in a hardcover form last week. Most comic stores have a decent supply. I know Blackbird does. Awesome book. I think 8 issues is what it actually went. So it's like a mini maxi series. Whole idea is everybody in the world gets a genie, so they get to make a wish. There's a bar full of people that do not get the genie, so like there's your control and everything like that. And I think it's really fun, really great book written by Charles Soule of a lot of Star Wars fame. So if you have not read 8 Billion Genies, it is a key book. Don't try chasing down number 1 if you want to pay extra money. But there's a sweet hardcover. DC Mech hardcover that came out like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I think DC Mech was a really fun DC Elseworld written by Kenny Potter and drawn by Baltimore Rivas. Idea is essentially this alternate universe where after New Frontier, or essentially the New Frontier movement that happened in comics during Darwin Cook and everything, I brought all them together. Well, that happens, but every hero doesn't necessarily have superpowers. They just have a mech, and their mech runs on. So, like the Green Lantern mech is a fighter jet, and like the Flash mech has super speed. And Superman. So it's like really cool story, especially if you like Robotech or Magnus Robot Fighter, anything like that, Armored Core, Transformers. I really think it's fun. Another, in case you missed it, Creed. Lauren read Creed this week. She read 1 and 2. Number 3 just fell on FOC, and she loved. What did Qual had some stuff on FOC this week? Yeah, Waters had Doomsday. Qual had a cover or 2, I think. He definitely had the 1 in 25 for Doom Patrol because he's been on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Creed. Number 3 just went on FOC. It's Adonis Creed's daughter or whatever Michael B. Jordan's character's name is, his daughter. What Lauren thought was really cool is she's also hard of hearing. So there's actually sign language throughout this book. So I'm assuming they had a sensitivity editor and everything like that. Really cool book. The last 2 things, World Tree. Where you saw World Tree number 5 was on FOC. They just actually reprinted World Tree 1, 2, and 3 on respective printings. I want to say like 3rd print, 2nd print. So if you're not reading it, you should. It's a great horror book. James Tynan, Fernando Blanco. We're always going to show mad love to the Scott's Collectibles guys.
Absolutely.
So definitely check that out. And the last thing I wanted to mention, and next week we'll talk a lot more in depth about it leading up to the movie, but Blue Beetle Graduation Day, the trade paperback for that came out last week. Great book by Josh Trujillo. Blue Beetle Graduation Day. It actually introduces his sister, or not his sister, Jenny Cord. So that's Ted Cord's sister, I believe. And it introduces a few other Beetles and everything like that. Blue Beetle Graduation Day. What I think is really cool, and it can't get said enough because, like you said, representation matters. But representation can only go so far. What I thought was genius is Blue Beetle Graduation Day was printed in English and in Spanish language. And they released the trade in the same format. They released the comics in that format.
Cool.
I think that's great. Whether you're trying to learn Spanish or maybe you're a first generation or not first generation, and that's an easier way to intake that story.
For sure.
That's great. So I really love Blue Beetle. You guys know how much I love Blue Beetle. So Blue Beetle Graduation Day, if you haven't picked it up, Josh Trujillo is phenomenal. He's actually writing a sequel to that I think is going to be on FOC in the next coming weeks. So Blue Beetle Graduation Day, whether you're picking up in English or Spanish, and if you can pick it up, like realistically, this will be my one endorsement type of thing. If you can pick it up in Spanish, whether it's for you or you have a friend that maybe has a kid that can read it, that's really going to help. This is I haven't talked to anybody at DC about this, but you have to assume this is a risk. There's no guarantee you're going to sell all these Spanish language copies you ordered and you printed. So if the sales end up looking good, then that's good for the medium as a whole. We Live, which has been written in Spanish by the Miranda brothers, has not been released in Spanish in the United States. That's just in Spain. There's a Spanish thing. So there's obviously risks involved. So if you do know somebody, maybe pick that up as a gift or something like that, especially with the movie coming up, or if you have like a little cousin or nephew or neighbor. Like, it's my one endorsement is if you can pick up Blue Beetle Graduation Day, and specifically the Spanish language copy, I think that would be cool. Just for all the issues to prepare for the movie. Great run. See, Robert had picked up the issues, and that was something I believed in really heavily, which is why you probably saw issues throughout the whole run there. Blue Beetle is a great character. He is a great.
Absolutely.
He is the Miles Morales of DC. Not because he's gonna blow up. Not because he's gonna blah 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 blah. He is a legacy character done right. A legacy character changed and done right.
Absolutely.
And
That's never backpedal on that, man. Like,
Yep.
that's what's fun for me to look at it. You know what I'm saying? Because I spent like 20 years of my life without Jaime.
Yeah.
And now it's been 20 years of my life like with Jaime. And and so like to see like that kind of like real establishment, and there's I love it. It's great. It couldn't have been done better. It's been replicated very few times. Like comparing it to Miles is a good way to go with that.
Yep. And funny enough, actually, more into the in case you missed it with Blue Beetle. Yes, Graduation Day is out. It is a great thing, like Robert said, to get you ready for the movie, because realistically, Jenny Cord, who is introduced in the first issue of that book, is a character in the movie. So like they did do that. Like it's not a tie-in movie book, but it is. But Blue Beetle #1 by Keith Giffen was printed in a facsimile. And that is the first Blue Beetle ongoing story after he showed up in Infinite Crisis. So if you ever just want to get down to the roots of Blue Beetle, you can pick up that facsimile at your local comic shop. That's going to be the first ever Blue Beetle series. He was in Infinite Crisis if you want to go down there. But he had his own series written by Keith Giffen right afterwards. That has been reprinted in a facsimile. And then there is Graduation Day, which Robert read. Thought it was a great run. And thank you, Robert. So with that being said, do you have anything that if you think if people missed, they should be reading? Like, don't sleep on it.
As for sleepers right now, that big game, I think I'm gonna stick with that. I mean, maybe that's not as sleeper as I think that it is, but you know what I mean. Like I don't hear too much about it on the get out of here. I don't hear too much about it like on the internet. Like no one's really talking about it so much for it being this huge culmination of what's, like I said, a very well built world. So pick that up and pick up pick up Ghost Rider, man. Check it out.
Yeah, I think there's a few series that are, and that's what I want to try to do a segment maybe once a month where these series that are on issue 12, 14, like they're good. It's just it's tough for you to pick up a spot and jump in, and it's like we could tell people kind of where to jump in.
Bro, I tell you what, if you find something that you want to jump in on and it's on issue 12, you let me know. I'll go find out everything you want to know about it, and I'll tell you everything about issues 1 through 12, and then you can FOC that next week. You know what I mean? I'll do it for you.
There you go.
Comic book man, be thou for the people. That's what they tell us, right?
Yes, sir. So then we'll go into our last words. First of all, thank you everybody for watching. Had a little technical difficulties right at the beginning. But thank you for everybody watching on Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you're watching on Twitch, thank you so much. That's kind of the platform. It allows us to stream 3 platforms, and I don't see Twitter being viable for that. So I choose Twitch right now, or X, whatever. So thank you very much, everybody. If you're a first-time viewer on Twitch, definitely give the channel a like or subscribe or follow, I think is what it is, because we're not affiliated. But thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for asking questions, Robert, Daryl, Bush. Thank you so much for joining. Steven, thank you for your awesome point. Yeah. Roberto, Travis, and Nick. But yeah, last words, guys. Honestly, and Roy's right. Nothing. I feel like DC's actually been publishing some good books, but he's right. Nothing's like blown people away. But and actually, funny enough, the name of Trey Walker's company is Still Cinema, because I found my copy of his book.
Nice.
There.
You did. So you did figure it out before the end of the show.
If you want a copy of Seasons Change, you go to Still Cinema and get one. But it was a great book. It was one of my top 5 of the month. But yeah, pick up what you enjoy.
Yeah.
Read what you enjoy, read what you think you're gonna like. Take chances, but don't get too crazy if you don't want to, because that'll burn you out. And I think comics is a marathon, not a sprint. Like,
There you go.
none of your series are gonna end before you need to shave again. Or like, let's just use this metaphor. None of your series will end before you at least have had to shave once, like probably multiple times. Because these series, a 6-issue miniseries takes 6 months if on time. A 12-issue maxi series takes a year if on time. So like, read what you like, pick up what you like, and just be nice to each other. When in the comic store, whether you're in a store locally in Central Florida or whether you're in a store in a different state, be nice to everybody when you go in Wednesday morning. I think it's to us as I used to do video games and stuff like that, and I remember the midnight release for Halo 2, and that was crazy.
A shining moment of humanity.
That only happened once every couple years when the game released. For comic books, we have to do that every Wednesday morning, or Wednesday afternoon, or Wednesday whatever. So just be nice. Be nice to your fellow your comic book store local comic shop employees. They're working real hard. And yeah, man, just enjoy comic books. It's a blessing, and it's a fun medium and a fun hobby we're supposed to enjoy. And I think it's best enjoyed as that fun hobby. Heck, dude, like, the insides are garbage sometimes, but we literally have a segment called Cover of the Month. Like, it's what you like. Some people, there's books that are just art books, and you might just want to buy them. Like, never let our opinion stop you from grabbing nothing.
Especially not mine.
Because maybe we didn't mention it on the show. It's not that we didn't like it. Maybe we didn't get to it yet. We didn't read it. So thank you for joining us. And again, it's a work in progress. Always feel to comment and let us know what you would like changed, if you want the segments in different orders. Next week's show will absolutely be shorter because we will not be doing a top 10 comics of the month.
And I won't have my son, so I'll be able to stay on task.
And just a quick reminder, last word, I start at Blackbird the 12th, this Saturday. I'll be training. It'll be all the non-fun stuff. But the 26th, 3 Saturdays from now, 3 Saturdays from now, is their 5-year anniversary. We'll talk a little bit more about it next week, because then I'll be able to give you guys some details. But definitely, if you are in the Central Florida area, Maitland, it is in store. The Microcon, they took you out of store for this. They're going to be back in store.
In-house.
I'm sure there'll be a special drink for it and everything. So come on by on the 26th, Maitland off Horatio Avenue. It's called Blackbird Comic and Coffee House. And Roy, thank you so much, man. Thank you for joining. And with that being said, guys, you got any last words, Roy?
Yeah, come see me for that voucher for your free ticket to go see Gargoyles by Kenneth Braun.
Live action. Book it.
I love you guys. Have a good weekend.